Well, it's that time of the year, people, where we go over some of the most disappointing and slash worst films of summer 2019. Now, there have been some pretty good films this year. I'll be covering that in my video tomorrow of the top 5 best movies of the summer. But for right now, I want to get into some films I thought were either really bad or just really disappointing this summer. So let's start us off at number 5, which is Detective Pikachu. Now, I easily could have put in Aladdin or The Lion King on this list. Both were pretty bad Disney remakes of classic animated films. However, I have to go with Detective Pikachu because Ryan Reynolds is really annoying in this film. He has absolutely no chemistry with Justice Smith. The CGI looks horrendous, and the overall plot of the film feels stupid, contrived, and it's just not very funny at all. I don't know what people saw in Detective Pikachu this year. It was one of those films that was easily forgettable, one of the worst live-action films that to be adapted from an animated source I've seen in some time now. Yeah, unlike with Aladdin or The Lion King, this film felt insulting in a lot of ways. It felt like it was just trying to be bad in a lot of ways, but didn't have the charm of films like Room or A Talking Cat do. So, yeah, Detective Pikachu, I don't know why people like it, but if you do somehow like it, good for you, but this just wasn't for me. Okay, number 4 is Stuber. Now, I did a review on this film earlier this summer, so you can go check that out if you haven't seen it already, but to reiterate what I was saying in that review, this film is not funny, it is unnecessarily cruel, the chemistry is a little off between Dave Bautista and Kumail Nanjiani, and I just feel like Stuber is one of those films that just, I can kind of see why it failed at the box office, because who is this film for? Really, who is it for? Is it for people who hate each other? Is it for people who have had crappy Uber rides? I mean, what's the target market for Stuber, honestly? I mean, yes, you have two of the most popular actors of our generation, Kumail Nanjiani from The Big Sick, and you have Dave Bautista, who's been featured in Guardians of the Galaxy. However, they just don't mesh well in this film. They're both very talented actors, but given the poor script that they had to work with, I just don't see them doing any future films together, unless, of course, they get better direction or better writing. I could see Kumail Nanjiani writing something pretty decent. All right, coming in at number 3 now, we have Ma, easily the worst horror film of the year. This film is not at all scary. It is outright unintentionally hilarious at points. The acting outside of Octavia Spencer is atrocious, and the film is just so predictable. I could literally call almost everything that happens throughout this film. Now, unlike Your Movie Sucks, who probably gave it the worst movie of the year rating, I don't think this movie is that bad. However, it is nothing memorable at all. It's just another generic horror film that just so happens to come out of Blumhouse, which they're not a bad studio, for all of you typing in the comments down below, but sometimes they pick really bad movies to produce. Example being Truth or Dare. So this is another film like Truth or Dare, only I think this is slightly worse because you had Octavia Spencer in this movie, and I thought that she would elevate it a little bit more, but she can only hold so much. So yeah, Ma, don't see it. Okay, coming in at number 2, we have Dora and the Lost City of Gold. You're surprised this isn't number 1? Well, we'll get to that later. But anyhow, with this film, it was as bad as I expected. Again, it had all the problems with Detective Pikachu, plus the fact that it was just really annoying. Yes, I get it. People were trying to recreate the spirit of Dora here, but don't do it in live action. It looks really weird. It comes off as awkward, and it's just so generic. I mean, my friends and I, just like I was doing with Ma, my friends and I could call out almost every plot point throughout this film, and it was just embarrassing how predictable and cliche Dora and the Lost City of Gold ended up being. And don't even get me started on the hallucinogenic sequence. Ugh. I'm still trying to get that out of my memory now, and I saw that about a month ago now. So, Dora and the Lost City of Gold, it is as bad as people saying it is. Absolutely avoid this one at all costs. It's not even the so bad it's good kind of a horrible movie. It's just bad, people. Alcohol won't even do this movie justice. Believe me, it's not one of those types of films. But the number 1 worst film that I saw this summer in the year 2019 has to be The Art of Self-Defense. Now, just like with Stuber, I did a review of this film, so if you want to check that out, go ahead and do so. But to summarize, this film is absolutely a piss-poor parody of Fight Club, even though it technically isn't a parody of Fight Club. It has some of the most uninspired acting I have seen in my life. The writing is just something out of a bad generic 80s film. or I don't know what it's trying to parody, honestly, but outside of Fight Club, because The Art of Self-Defense has just absolutely no backbone for a storyline or character development. This is easily the worst film I've seen all year. It is something that I was practically yelling at the screen at throughout the entire runtime, because thankfully no one was there. But if someone was there, I probably would have still yelled anyway, because this film has that kind of treatment. Yeah, I'm glad this film bombed at the box office, because it is seriously one of those films that you question why it even got made and why Jesse Eisenberg is even still acting. I mean, he's still a decent actor when given the right script, but when given a script like this and with Batman vs. Superman on his resume, you're just starting to wonder why Jesse Eisenberg is still getting like main parts in movies. So that is my top 5 worst films of summer 2019. Dishonorable mentions go to X-Men Dark Phoenix. Again, this film wasn't as bad as people said it was, but you know, Jessica Chastain's performance as Vuk may be the worst of the year. Toy Story 4, huge disappointment. You know, it was really cliche. It did not need to be made at all. Still decent acting from Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, but still very generic film. Godzilla King of Monsters, wanted to put it on this list, but again, it was too boring for me to even mention it. And yeah, there may be some other films I may have forgotten about, but those are the films I essentially want to get off the top of my head. So Telegenesis Intermission Reviews, sign off, and see people around.